Hey everybody, welcome back to another Foosh video review. Today we are continuing our look at Hasbro's Transformers Combiner Series Devastator by looking at Devastator's, well, what will become Devastator's right arm. This of course is Scavenger. And Scavenger looks an awful lot like his G1 counterpart. This is a very, very, very nice looking mass market retail Constructicon figure. Though it is pretty nice looking. It is kind of simple at the same time. We've got some articulation here in the crane or shovel feature, whatever you want to call this thing. There's the forward and backward motion. There is a joint here so you can get like a nice, scoop going. And then there's a side to side, but unfortunately the shovel itself doesn't do anything. And this kind of piston looking aspect here is just ornamental. It's just painted to look like it might actually do something, but it doesn't. So at least there's this. And the treads also don't turn. What we have instead of the treads are these little wheels underneath. So, I mean, that's to be expected, not a big deal. And underneath you can see Scavenger's chest piece, the silver bit here. So again, it's nice to flip him over and not see like an almost fully formed robot saying hello to us. And then this little space right here, of course, is where he will eventually plug into Devastator's shoulder. In fact, I think the first thing we're going to do here is transform him into that combiner part, into the right arm feature, because it is best done from the vehicle mode. So to do that, we just flip up the crane so it's in place like this. We need to free up a couple pegs here from the treads, and then we flip this whole part down and around. Eventually these treads will be part of the portion that actually attaches to Devastator's shoulder, and then we can turn that and this will become his elbow joint. Now there's this separate piece that actually serves as a gun for Scavenger's robot mode, but it's also Devastator's forearm and hand. So we can flip that handle down and this entire piece, with some difficulty, flips around, and there we have Devastator's hand and forearm. And then there's a peg on the inside here that just pegs into that peg hole right there. And that's pretty much it. There's Devastator's right arm. And it looks pretty cool. And there's a lot of people voicing concerns about the color of the hand. His hand is black here, and I guess Devastator is supposed to have a purple hand. Even on the packaging, the large packaging, he's featured in the artwork with a purple hand. So there's some contention there because people want accuracy above everything else. So, but that is how we, and there is some nice articulation here. There's the forearm swivel, there's the elbow. His fingers are articulated, and then once he's attached, oops, that should stay in place. Once he's attached, there's, well, actually he doesn't move like this. That's the G1 figure. This entire thing, kind of, the treads stay stationary, and then that's how his arm moves. And then there's some outward motion too. And we'll get a better look at that. I mean, it'll make more sense once Devastator is fully assembled. Today we're just looking at Scavenger. So let's get him back into his vehicle mode. And this should come apart fairly easily. It's kind of got a death grip on there right now. There we go. There we go. So again, this just folds down and around on the inside. And then it should just peg into place. There we go. And then those pegs peg in like that. So here he is back in his steam shovel mode. Then to get him into his robot mode, once again, we can just flip that up. We can free the treads, and then this entire piece folds down a little bit, and we do that just to get them out of the way. This pops down. Let me show you that again. That pops down, and his head flips up. That closes again. Then these entire side panels here fold in just like this, and then you just move these bottom portions up. This part you have to kind of flip the cab over. Whoops. A little bit too forceful there, but fortunately modern Transformers are built so they do come apart easily, so you can't really break them. And then his hands are in here, and they do flip out. It works way better if you have fingernails, which I don't. There we go. A little bit of work for me to do, but it might be easier for you. There we go. So he's starting to look like Scavenger. The bottom half is kind of a mess right now. So all we do here is we flip this up. Let me get the treads out of the way. And flip this up again so it snaps into place like that. And then we can extend the treads, and those become his knees. And then the bottoms of the treads split apart like this, and that becomes his feet. And there we go. That's pretty much basically Scavenger in all his robot mode glory. And he's not a bad looking Constructicon. I mean, the colors are here. There's not a ton of detail. I mean, there is a fair amount of sculpted detail in the sculpt, but a lot of it is just kind of lost in the green and purple plastic that they use. So let's get a close-up here of his face, maybe. Of all the Constructicons, I've always found Scavenger to be kind of one of the least interesting looking. He was never a favorite of mine in the G1 days, neither the cartoon nor the figure. And here he's not really blowing me away either. What's kind of interesting is that when the Hercules, the third-party Devastator came out, Scavenger was the first one to be released in that series. So he got kind of a lot of attention back then because that was the first kind of substantial Devastator figure we had since the G1 release. So now here is Hasbro's attempt to rectify that by making the Constructicons their own again. So in terms of articulation, he is nicely articulated. Shoulders go all the way around. He's got an elbow and kind of the ball jointed elbow variety, so he gets an inward motion too. Wrists don't do anything, unfortunately. Head is on something of a ball joint. I mean, you can look down, you can't look up very well. Hips, he can do a full split, that's for sure. Full 90 degrees is no problem. And the knees work pretty well too. And he has a bit of an ankle tilt, so if you need him in that, kind of heroic superhero split thing that they do sometimes, there we go. And like I said before, the hand and forearm kind of transforms into like a cannon for him to hold, which he can hold thusly. Let's try that again. Which he can hold thusly. There we go. Thing I don't like, about these Constructicons, and this goes for Devastator too, is just the fact that none of their joints are ratcheted. So I just feel like, look at that, it just droops right down. So I just feel like that's only going to get worse over time. Like, at this point, I just feel like that's a problem, and it's going to be more of a problem as we go. So I'm just inclined to not have him hold this because it's just going to kill his shoulder joint. And you're going to have to resort to putting super glue in there. Ah! Scavenger fell. To keep the joints tight. Now, in terms of scale, all the Constructicons are Voyager scale, which is really cool. So here he is with the Voyager class Blitzwing from a couple years ago, and they look pretty darn good together. I mean, Blitzwing, I guess, has a little bit more detail to him. There's something more substantial feeling about Blitzwing. But Scavenger is no slouch either. He's not looking too shabby here. So, I mean, in either mode, in either Devastator mode or Scavenger mode, he'll blend in nicely with your Decepticon display. So, that is Scavenger, that is Devastator's right arm. So, let us know what you think about this guy. I mean, how does he measure up to what we've seen previously with third-party offerings? Let us know what you think. Leave a comment below. Check us out on social media or on our message boards as well. And as always, thank you for checking us out here at the Foosh, and we will see you with the final few pieces of Devastator very, very soon. Thanks again.